everybody. Welcome to Jubilee Circle.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us all this morning. We appreciate you being here with us. If you are watching on YouTube, you can get a bulletin by going to jubileecircle.com. There will be a link right there on the front page. If you're here in the room, there's over there on the credenza, and you can follow along with all the music and lyrics and everything if you have a bulletin. All right. Good morning again. Are we ready? Nope, we're not ready. Hang on, our recalcitrants are a little recalcitrant this morning. We ready now?
Oh, that means you're tired too? Or you're not organized, recalcitrant?
Something,
so
I don't
many
know.
definitions.
So many ways to be recalcitrant.
Let's make it a catch-all term.
Are we ready? Is everybody ready? Band ready. Are y'all ready?
We're ready.
We're ready! Woo!
All right.
La 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 bum ba.
1, 2, 3, 4. I made my money and I took it to the driving fast man. I said I'd like to be driving just as fast as I can. I need some speed and I need to be bad. I need to win respect that I never had. Why pay your money for what does not satisfy? Satisfy. Took my new car and I drove it to the looking good man.
Good.
I said, please make me more attractive than the person I am. He sold me some muscles and he shaved down my nose, then got me fitted in some really neat clothes. Why pay your money for what does not satisfy? Now I'm driving, I'm finally arriving. Now I'm looking really very good. Now I'm wondering what else to be buying. Looking really very good. Now I'm wondering what else to be buying. I took what I had left and I gave it to the happiness man. I said I'd like to be happy, as happy as I can. He said, boy, why did you come to me last? Then he just smiled and he handed it back. And he said, why pay your money for what does not satisfy? Satisfy. 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 Oh yeah.
Are you satisfied?
Thanks everybody. Welcome again to Jubilee Circle. Okay. My guitar stand is being recalcitrant. So welcome,
Wow.
our new addition to the puppy nation here at Jubilee Circle. This is my puppy Pax. So if you see him wandering around, his name is Pax for peace. He's my peaceful buddy, and he and Cece got along great. This was their first meeting today. So when Cece was like, "Hey, you're cool," and Pax said, "Hey, you're cool," and so this is it. When two calm dogs meet,
Pax,
it's a good thing. All
he's
right.
always with us on Wednesday.
So welcome. We're continuing our VIA CREATIVA theme of living in the light, because winter is that time when the light is emerging, and it reminds us to remember who we truly are. We must bring the light of love to our own darkness, just as this CREATIVA time does. Now, if you have known me for 5 minutes, you know that I am not a fan of the early church father named Augustine. There are lots of people. Anyway, he's the one who gave us the idea of original sin, and original sin. We got to say it right. Sin. And his theology has led Christianity to a deep suspicion and loathing of our bodies, which Jesus calls our temple, by the way, and A Course in Miracles says is our communication link with God through the Holy Spirit, and the only tool we have to bring love into the world. So body can't be all that bad. But even a blind squirrel eventually finds a nut, right? So Augustine didn't get it all wrong. In his Confessions, he writes one of the most beautiful lines that I think was ever written about God. It says, "You have made us for yourself, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." That means that we're not only created by God, but we are created for God as well. God did not create us to be separate entities, but to be one with God. And that is why this world often feels so strange and foreign and threatening. We feel restless here, like we should really be somewhere else. But the truth is we are somewhere else. That somewhere else is home. We're just unconscious. Our home, though, is in God in eternal joy and peace and love. This means we have an inexorable pull toward God. The ego convinces us that the things of this world are what's going to bring us peace and love and joy, and they do for a minute or two, and then we're right back to on that treadmill of seek but do not find. And if you want to get off that treadmill, there's a way to do it. You give in. You surrender to that pull for God and allow the peace that passes understanding to overtake you. It's in you. It's just waiting to be recognized. But we're so afraid. We're afraid of that peace because we're afraid that it will ask us to sacrifice something in this world. But instead, that peace is what leads us to living in the light of God. And it's what makes this world so much more beautiful when we realize that connection. And when that happens, all we know to say is, oh yeah. Please rise as you're able. And we begin every Jubilee Circle celebration in the same fashion. We remember the 4 elements. We remember the air and the water and the earth and the fire. And we burn sage as a reminder that this is a safe and a sacred time, and a time for us to set our intentions, to set our personal intention to shine that light of love and peace and joy into the world, and a corporate intention that shining that love and peace and joy in the world will just bring more peace, love, and joy into this world. And we orient ourselves in this sacred time and space by calling the 4 directions. So I invite you to turn and face the east. Holy One, the sun is the superstar of this world. It rises every day to bring heat and light to this little blue planet. It takes itself lightly, however. It never sends us an electric bill for all it generates. It never asks us to pay back for the life-giving rays it shines down upon us. Help us to be like the sun, Holy One, freely shining your light of love all around this world. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the south. We thank you for the playful, warm winds of the south, Holy One. How those warm winds rustle the leaves and makes nature dance with delight as it passes it by, and reminds us that we too need to stop and take some time to play, to lighten up on ourselves, feel the warmth and delight of your spirit blowing through our lives. make our hearts dance with delight. Quarter turn to the right and we face the west. The west reminds us to let go of everything we need to let go of, to live that life of delight that the Holy offers to us. Help us, Holy One, to let go of the world's expectations of us, and instead look for ways to live into that expectation of love and light that you constantly call us to live into. Give us the wisdom of the West to let go of anything that keeps us from lightening up. Quarter turn to the right and we face the north. The spirit of the north is wisdom. And we need that wisdom to discern between what is real success and what the world tells us success looks like. Remind us, Holy One, that success can be as simple as a stranger's smile, a dog's kiss, the embrace of a loved one, the laughter of a child. By that measure, Holy One, we are all wildly successful at spreading your love in this world. And as we turn back toward the center, you find a bunch of folks who are passionate about their relationship with the Holy. But we often hesitate to share that passion because, we don't want to be seen as like Jesus freaks or whatever. But often, it's that passion for the Holy all around us in this life that sets us apart from religious types. People are drawn to us precisely because of that passion for experiencing and expressing the beauty that we see and feel all around. So I invite you this morning, jubilants, fly that freak flag proudly and let the Holy imbue you with everything in every moment, because that is what you have and what you are. Hey. And because when we do that, then the whole world gets to say, oh yeah. Come around. I didn't forget you. Flying around, saging the band. Okay. Remain standing. We're going to sing a little Joan Osborne this morning. Everybody knows this song. This is a nice big sing-along. Oh, we don't need to bring back the 90s. That's all right. Exactly right. We are exactly where we're supposed to be.
That's right. We can play music of all time.
All right. So I invite you to, as we sing along and greet one another.
Everybody's supposed to start at 4 and 1, 2, 3.
Not everybody.
We are lightly rehearsed this morning.
We are very. Sorry, I got shaky.
If God had a name, what would it be? And would you call it to your face? weren't waiting
This
for
is a
my
collect
permission
call.
anyways. So there you go. All right, welcome again. Thanks so much for being here at Jubilee Circle. We appreciate you so much. And a little bit about us. We are an inclusive, progressive interfaith community here in Columbia, South Carolina, broadcasting around the world. We teach the timeless common wisdom of love and unity that you find in all mainstream religions and metaphysical philosophies, mysticism, and inspired secular and religious writers and teachers throughout the ages. We use popular music, teachings, weekly celebrations, educational and artistic events, and other community building activities as we're seeking to create a space so everyone can experience transformation so then they can go out and be that transformation in the world. We believe we're here to expand our souls, to find a deeper meaning in life, to renew our commitment to love and peace and justice, learn how to love wastefully, and undergo a transformation from the inside out, so complete that we live in our higher divine self, well, pretty much most of the time. We're still aspirational here. But we also recognize we're part of God's good creation. We're formed not just in stardust, but in love and in joy. But we forget this. We emerge from our mothers and we look around and we see everything as separate. So we believe we are lost in this world of paradox, and we see others as either beautiful or ugly or good or bad or generous or stingy or loving or recalcitrant. Grody. People just want to, we're not bringing back the 90s. All right. But let us remember our true function here, Jubilants. We are already home. This is just our training ground where we learn to awaken and realize we have never left our home with God. And while we are here, we are to use our bodies to embody that love and be that open channel for God in the world, so everybody can say, oh yeah. All right, so coming up next week, we're going to continue our VIA CREATIVA theme. We are approaching springtime. We've got stuff blooming in our yard already. You probably do too. Yes, yeah, we've got people sneezing. There you go. So spring has almost sprung. It's springing up all around us. So we're going to continue our VIA CREATIVA theme of living in the light. We're going to use music from Toad the Wet Sprocket. How many people play Toad the Wet Sprocket anymore? Right? Yeah. We're going to explore living in the light of defenselessness. That's going to be fun. Okay, so also remember, next Sunday, the 26th, we are going to have our annual congregational meeting and potluck. So bring a dish to share and your ideas and dreams and hopes for Jubilee in the year. And I know that some of you will be either out of town or not able to attend, so I'm going to set up a Zoom. So if folks can at least get on a Zoom to listen in. If you can't be here in person, that would at least give you a chance to listen in and maybe make some contributions while you're on the road or at home. So look for that link. I'll put it on Facebook and send it out in the newsletter this Wednesday, so look for that. Coming up this Friday here in the living room, the Resident Rogues from Asheville will be here with their Appalachian folk music, and it's going to be a great show. Please come out and see it. Tickets are $15 online or at the door. We will have snacks and non-alcoholic beverages available for a donation. If you prefer something that is alcoholic, bring it yourself. So BYOB. And coming up this Sunday, this afternoon, you're going to do Art Church right next door. Tricia and Mary Howe are leading participants in a creative experience using art, sound, and meditation. Do you want to say anything, or you just?
We had a great group last week, and encourage you to come.
Yeah, so it was great last week, and they're going to do it until, so the last Sunday they'll do it. They'll do the next few Sundays. March 15th will be the last Sunday. So if you can't make it this Sunday, look to the next 2 Sundays and make sure that you come and experience that. Suggested donation of $20. Don't need any art experience, which is good news for me, because I don't have any experience of that. Looking into March, on Friday, March 24th, the Living Room will host Richard and the Twins. They're a rock trio. Tickets are $10 at the door. Again, BYOB. And I'm excited for Friday, March 31st. The Columbia Operatic Laboratory will be back, and those folks are always fun. They're going to do an original that they have put together and composed called Four Singers Walk into a Bar. And they will sing in foreign languages, and there is a handy-dandy narrator to provide English translations. with some additional, perhaps biased commentary, they say. So they're going to have some operatic tropes featuring music by Mozart, Puccini, Johann Strauss, and more. So tickets are $10 for that. Again, snacks and BYOB. And remember, 10:30 every Sunday is Sound Day School next door, and 7 o'clock on Tuesdays we have our Course in Miracles discussion group, and Wednesdays at 7:30 we're trying to revive Jive, which is the Jubilee instrumental vocal ensemble that Michael and Camille are leading for us. Do you want to say anything, Michael?
We're looking forward to new members coming, and we're doing some really interesting music. Camille's teaching us some gospel music, and
Ooh.
I'm composing and writing some pseudo-gospel music that we're teaching by ear. So if you don't know how to read music, don't worry. We're not going to give you any.
Nothing to
We
read
actually will
anyway.
have some, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, if you've got ears, you can do it, yeah.
And today,
Oh.
the living room is hosting the Carolina Fiddle Club, which is featuring me as discussing instrument care, and followed by a play-in. There's also a potluck at 3. We're featuring waltzes today, including the Tennessee Waltz and the Westphalia Waltz. And we'll have a bunch of banjos and not a lot. We'll probably have one banjo, a couple guitars, a bass.
One is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a bunch of fiddle players and a cello player and some ukulele players, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Be some beautiful music today. All right. Anything else? Did I miss anything? Beth? Yeah. Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
But let me say that out loud so people can hear. On the YouTube. If you want to participate in the meeting and you can't be here next week, and you can't Zoom, and you have ideas, please just email me, Rev Candace, R-E-V Candace @jubileecircle.com. Candace with an A, 2 A's, C-A-N-D-A-C-E, as God intended. Because it's in the Bible. Anyway, you can email me. Yeah, you can email me and tell me your ideas, and we can put them in the mix. Okay, good idea. Thank you. Anything else? Hear these wise and holy words. From the Jesus story, John 6:37 through 39. Everything that Everything that God gives me will come to me, and anyone who comes to me I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And this is the will of him who sent me, that I should lose nothing of all that God has given me. From A Course in Miracles, the CE version, chapter 5. You were eternally fixated on God and your creation, and the pull of this fixation is so strong that you will never overcome it. The reason is perfectly clear. The fixation is on a level which is so high that it cannot be surmounted. You are always being pulled back to your Creator because you belong to him. Do you really believe that you can make a voice which can drown out his? Do you really believe you can devise a thought system which can separate you from his? Do you really believe that you can plan for your safety and joy better than he can? You need be neither careful nor careless. You need merely cast all your cares upon him because he careth for you. You are his care because he loves you. His voice reminds you always that all hope is yours because of his care. You cannot choose to escape his care because it is not his will. But you can choose to accept his care and use the infinite power of his care for all those he created by it. And from author and course teacher Marianne Williamson, God means love and will means thought. To ask that God's will be done is to ask that loving thought prevail. Think what it means to ask what God's will be done. It means that in a world where non-loving thought towards ourselves, each other, and even the earth itself is so rampant, you are directing the forces of the universe, using the power of your thought to lift all things above the clutches of fear. These are wise and holy words. Thanks be to the holy. All creation speaks volumes of the holy.
Hallelujah.
Whatever. All creation is holy word. Okay. You would think after 13 years I'd know that, but I don't know that by heart. Hallelujah. We know that part. All right. Let's stand and sing. And remember, you have a part in this one. Let's rehearse your part. Lean in toward the light. Let's do that again. Lean in toward the light. Okay. It'll be obvious where that comes in. Winter is the oldest season. Lean in toward the light. But quietly beneath the snow. Lean in toward the light. Seeds are stretching out and reaching. Lean in toward the light. Faithful as the morning glow. Lean in toward the light. Carry nothing but what you must. Lean in toward the light. Let it go, shake off the dust. Lean in toward the light. Today is now, tomorrow beckons. Lean in toward the light. Keep practicing resurrection. Lean in toward the light. The prayer I pray at eventide. Lean in toward the light. All left undone, be put aside. Lean in toward the light. Forgiveness is hard to find. Lean in toward the light. Help me at least to be kind. Lean in toward the light. Lean in toward the light. Lean in toward the light. Lean in towards the light.
Did you lean in?
Oh, yeah. All right. Y'all may be seated. Band may be dismissed. If you want to go sit out in the crowd, you can double the crowd out there if you go sit out in the crowd.
Do you two people can't see the crowd?
Right, right. This place is full. It's packed to the gills.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's no room for you people anyway.
Multitudes.
Multitudes. Right,
But there's only one of us here.
right. It just appears to be multitudes, right?
I had a professor, no one showed up, he was teaching in the class.
Well, there you go. Nothing wrong with that. Breathe deeply. Oh, I got both the puppies. I remember the exact moment that I broke up with God. I was 16 years old, and I had just learned the word for what I am. Yeah, he gave me the ring back. Yeah, it was everything. It was the whole thing. It's not me, it's you. Yeah, that's what I said. But oddly enough, my education came through an issue of Rolling Stone magazine, to which I subscribed throughout my teenage years because, I love music. In this issue was a story about women who were called something called lesbians. I had never felt so seen in my whole life as I was reading that article. Finally, whatever this feeling was that I had been having ever since I could remember, it had a name. And I didn't like that name, lesbian. I mean, it sounds like something you cure with like creams or shots or something, lesbian. Over the years, I came to like the term dyke, because that just feels powerful, right? Somebody calls me a dyke, I'm like, yeah, all right. Anyway, back to God. The moment that we broke up was when I looked in the mirror and said to my own reflection, I am a lesbian. I didn't know the word dyke yet, so I had to use what I had. I am a lesbian. Something clicked. Something really clicked inside of me, and I knew at a deep level At a deep level, in that moment, I knew this was the end of my relationship with God. Because you see, I was raised in a religion that rejected homosexuality and called it an abomination. You could not be a Christian and a lesbian. It was impossible. God hated homosexuals. That was the thing that made Jesus puke. Well, I said to myself, if God hates me, then the least I can do is return the favor. And I lived just fine without God for a while, until my first girlfriend came home with the Atlanta version of what the Free Times is, and she was all excited. She's like, there's a church in Atlanta for gay people. And she pressed this newspaper into my hands, and I read a little bit of the article, and I handed it back, and I said, that's nice, don't wake me on Sunday morning. I mean, God and I had been on the outs for at least the past 5 or 6 years, and things were going just fine, thank you very much. I was enjoying my lazy Sunday mornings. I had no plan to give them up. Nevertheless, she persisted, and finally I went. Y'all, I stood in that church, and I wept. It was the first time that I had heard someone from a pulpit say that God loved me as a dyke. I had learned that word by then. Because that's what God had created me to be. That morning, standing in the Metropolitan Community Church, it was a homecoming. I thought I had been content without God, but that moment revealed to me that deep inside was what A Course in Miracles calls a pull for God, or an eternal fixation on the holy. You were eternally fixated on God at your creation, A Course says. That's powerful for someone just learning that they were also created as a lesbian, dyke. You were eternally fixated on God in your creation. And the pull of this fixation is so strong that you will never overcome it. The reason is perfectly clear. The fixation is on a level which is so high that it cannot be surmounted. You are always being pulled back to your Creator because you belong to God. That morning at the MCC started me on a journey to explore this eternal fixation, that pull of God. I had begun deconstructing my Christian beliefs all those years ago, but I had to do it in earnest now. And that led me on a journey to all these other religions, mainly in the East: Buddhism, Hinduism, mysticism, metaphysics, Zen, Sufism, so many other spiritual side trips, anything I could just get my hands on, get my brain around. But here's the kicker. Every single path I took, it circled right back to this guy named Jesus. Everywhere I went, I heard echoes of his teachings. I was raised with Jesus as my guide, and I spent so many years searching for another guide. But I always ended up right back at Jesus. No wonder A Course in Miracles speaks to me so deeply. It's purportedly dictated by the guy. So if you think about it for a minute, I think you'll find it's true that everybody in this room, everybody out there listening or watching this morning, you've experienced that pull for God, this eternal fixation on the holy. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here this morning. You'd be sipping your coffee over the New York Times or a good book, like I used to do. That pull for God, it's real. It's strong, and to oppose it, A Course tells us, is a delusion, because we try to walk away from that pull, but that's a trick of the ego. How does the ego trick us? Well, it convinces us that only the things of the world are going to bring us ultimate peace or love or joy. And A Course says that this delusion can manifest in our lives 4 different ways. And we tend to gravitate toward one of these delusions of possession strongest. We might have some of each, but one really has got us. The first yearning is to possess other people. This kind of possession is obsessed with the body, and it usually centers around sex. We want to possess someone through what we call love. But it becomes an obsession, which is a perversion of love. The second way we sublimate that yearn for God is by yearning to possess things. Often we're too afraid of what possessing another person might entail and the madness that it can induce, which makes up so many stories on murder TV shows, right? I mean, we see it. You get obsessed, you get fixated. So we turn our desire from people toward possessing things. We think, well, this has got to be safer to sublimate that pull of God. Possessing things is harmless, right? Right? But greed, it can be overwhelming. So much so that the accumulation of wealth can become such a fixation that we see people not only ruin their lives to achieve it, but the lives of those around them. And I'm not going to name any names, but you're probably thinking of one guy in particular, kind of greedy. The third yearning is to possess the Spirit. Now, this is where religion gets perverted into something we think can possess us. But then it turns into a religion of violence, or a religion of control, or a religion of separation and hatred, forced conversions. This kind of possession is where cults get formed, because we get sucked up into these spiritual situations that tempt us to use our spirituality selfishly in some way, perhaps even to conjure up wealth or power. And the fourth way we sublimate that call for God is a yearning for knowledge. And this is not the true knowledge that the holy offers us, but worldly knowledge. We desire to be seen as special or better than others because we know so much. We can go on Jeopardy and just demolish the competition because we have all the facts and figures in our heads. At the drop of a hat, we know it. We think knowledge can make us safe. We think knowledge can make us worthy in the world. So which of these four egoic possessions has you under its spell? I can tell you without a doubt that my search around the world for the right religious understanding had me in a couple of camps. I wanted to be possessed by spirit, but I also wanted to be possessed by knowledge. In fact, I still want both of those. But here's the difference. I'm no longer looking outside myself for either of them. That's the power we have, Jubilants, to choose which world we're going to live in. If we think anything outside of ourselves, be it another person, a worldly bauble or gadget, a religion, or some expensive education, is going to satisfy your eternal fixation for God, we're wrong. As the Course says, do you really believe that you can make a voice which can drown out God's? Do you really believe you can devise a thought system which can separate you from God's? Do you really believe that you can plan for your safety and joy better than God can? And the short answer is, yeah, we do. Yes, we do. We do it individually and corporately. We are genuinely afraid of this pull for God because we think God is going to ask us to do something that we don't want to do, or to give up something in this world that we enjoy, that brings us pleasure. A Course clearly tells us that God will never usurp our will, but that eventually, after we've tried all the millions of myriad ways that the ego guarantees us that we can satisfy all this desire out here and then discover that none of them do, we will all finally surrender our will to God's. And this isn't as scary as the ego might have us believe it would be. Author and teacher Marianne Williamson says clearly, God means love and will means thought. So to ask that God's will be done is to just ask that loving thought prevail. That's all we're doing. When we align our will with God's, we just ask that loving thought prevails. And if loving thought prevails, Williamson says, that means that in a world where non-loving thoughts toward ourselves and each other and even the earth itself is so rampant, you are directing the forces of the universe using your thought to lift all things above the clutches of fear. Now that jubilance is a kind of possession worth pursuing. One where you're so possessed by God's will, you're so possessed by nothing but loving thoughts that you have the power to lift all things above the clutches of fear. Your thoughts, possessed by God's will that love always prevails, can end the suffering of the world. So why are we not giving in to this pull for God? Why are we not leaping at the chance to live in this eternal fixation on the holy? Because we don't know what it means. We don't know what it means to live in the light of God. We've been sold all of these awful ideas about what God is or what God is supposed to be. We've been told that God is wrathful. We've been told that God is angry. We've been told that God is vengeful and jealous and will send us to an eternal punishment at the first whiff of disobedience. Oh yeah, and then they throw in, well, God is love. But that allegedly loving God is also capricious and unpredictable and exacting. God may love us, but God will not hesitate to send us to hell. Tough love, right? So many mixed messages. It's no wonder we look at the things of this world to possess us. We feel like at least with the things of the world we can have some modicum of control. If we're possessive of people or things or spirituality or knowledge, this God thing, though, that could annihilate us or who we think we are. In our Jesus story, though, he says that's not true. We already have everything we will ever need to reach God, to align our will with the holies. Everything that God gives me will come to me, Jesus says, and anyone who comes to me, I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of God who sent me. And this is the will of God who sent me, that I should lose nothing of all that God has given me. And what that means, jubilants, is that the pull for God is all you will ever need. And your response to that pull is inevitable. Because eventually, you're going to get tired of the ego's seek but do not find game. Of course, says the highest thing an ego can ever say is, there has got to be a better way. And when you say that, then like the prodigal son, you begin your journey home. And like the prodigal, you will be celebrated by God. And you'll realize that God has already given you everything, because peace and love and joy are always ours to claim in every moment. Herein lies the difference between what the ego offers as substitutes for God and what God offers us in reality with a capital R, and that is care. The things of this world are fleeting jubilants, and they don't care about you. They are indifferent to you. Whether you get all the money or all the power or whatever, the things don't care. Money doesn't care about you. Power doesn't care about you. Fame doesn't care about you. Things don't care about you. And they may bring you a bout of happiness, but nothing outside of ourselves will ever bring lasting peace or love or joy. To get that, you got to go to the one world that you can actually live in, and that's the one inside. And we have to realize, in here we're already living in the light of a loving God. You need be neither careful nor careless, a course says. You need merely cast all your cares upon God, because God cares for you. You are his care because God loves you. His voice reminds you always that all hope is yours because of his care. You cannot choose to escape his care, because that is not his will. But you can choose to accept his care and use the infinite power of his care for all of those he created by it. This is what it means to do God's will, jubilants. To live in the light of God is to cast our cares upon God and allow the infinite power of that care to end not just our personal suffering, but to be used as an extension and end the suffering of the whole world. So how do we do that? Well, the ego says you got to make a choice. Give up this world of enticements and pleasure in favor of some woo-woo peace and love idea. Go on, do it. Go ahead. You'll be back. I got the good stuff. You'll be back. It's like a drug dealer. I mean, really, the ego, we're addicted to it. But in the beginning, we do try to make that choice. We try to stop being possessive of things in the world or people or items, spiritual practices, knowledge. We try to choose to be good people, spiritual people even. But if it's a choice made from the ego, we're going to be right back where we started. We're going to be right at the ego's door going, give me another hit. What do I follow now? What A Course invites us to do instead is not making some egoic choice, but God invites us to yield, to just yield to that power of love within us. In chapter 14, A Course assures us that attack will always yield to love if it is brought to love, not hidden from it. Our worldly replacements for the pull of God, they are attacks upon God, attacks upon our true nature. And so we have to gently bring them to love, where they will yield, they will give way. We need not overcome our egoic nature to want to possess and be possessed by worldly things. We just allow God's love to heal those desires and place us squarely within God's care, where the peace that passes all understanding arises within us, because that's where it is. So which egoic possessions are you continuing to pursue in your own lives, jubilants? A possession of people, things, spirituality, knowledge? None of these worldly gods, none of them care about you at all. The only one who cares is God. And there is only one God whose light we desire with every fiber of our spirit to live in. It's not a choice. It's not a choice to make. It's just an internal yielding to allow God to take God's rightful place. We lose nothing in this yielding except our grasping and searching for peace where it cannot be found. Instead, we find that everything God gives us is already within us, and it will come to us when we yield to God's love and care. And in that moment, when that peace that passes all understanding comes and it stays with us, all we'll know to say in that moment is, oh yeah. Breathe deeply. I invite you in this sacred time and place to truly contemplate what it is you want to be possessed by. I mean, we all want to be possessed by something. Some of us yearn for love in the world, romantic love. I mean, that's got to be careful. Are you trying to possess someone? We want things. Ooh, the latest gadget. Many of us are what they call first adopters. So when that new iPhone comes out or that new gadget or whatever, we got to be the first in line. Ooh, you might be possessed by things if that's really important to you. Spirituality. Ooh, that's a tricky one. But you know you're looking to be possessed by spirituality when you think you've found the one and everybody else is wrong, going to hell. That's when spirituality, you want it because it makes you feel special. And knowledge, Nobody wants to be a dummy, right? Nobody wants the world to say, you know, you don't know stuff. So we want to know stuff. And we've got the World Wide Web right there at our fingertips. We can know all sorts of stuff, whether it's right or wrong, who knows. But we can, right, you're right. There's cats playing piano. My God, there's so much to know out there in the world. But what if we stepped away from needing any of that stuff and we just gave in to the pull for God and just knew that we're cared for, that we're loved, and nothing out here in this world can give us that peace and that love and that joy that God can if we just yield. If we just surrender. It's not a choice, it's just a, I give up. There's got to be a better way. Because as soon as we do that, just like the prodigal, when the Spirit spots us from way off, it runs to us and celebrates us because we're home. Breathe deeply. Nothing outside of yourself can bring you joy. Not money, not anything. But while we're in this physical world, we've got to deal with the things of the physical world. And one of those is like paying the light bill and the electric bill and all that stuff. So we count on your support to keep us going, to keep us doing what we do here in Columbia and around the world through YouTube. And so we are grateful for the support that we've had in the past, the support we'll have in the future, and the support we'll have from folks right now. So if you are watching out there on the YouTube, you can go to jubileecircle.com, and there is a donate button right there on the front page. If you're in the room and you don't have cash, there is a QR code on your lyric sheet. But I'm going to pass this around, if y'all pass around. But we appreciate any donation, any donation that you can give to us through PayPal, through Venmo, through any of those places. Or you can write us a good old-fashioned check and send it to Post Office Box 4611, Columbia, South Carolina, 29240. And so we thank you so much for your support, for your ongoing support. And so we will say goodbye to our online audience, and we're going to have a little talk back time here in the room. But thank you so much for joining us online. And remember, as Meister Eckhart says, if the only prayer you ever say your entire life is thank you, it will be enough, because that gratitude puts you right in this present moment where you have no worries, no troubles at all, and that is where you find the peace that passes understanding. So as you go through this week, remember to say thank you a lot, because that is what puts you right in that heart of gratitude. So together we say, thank
Thank you.
you. And we say, oh yeah, we'll see you next week.